This lesson is for 11.5 angle, triangle similarity. Okay, so it says that if two angles of one triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then the angles are similar. Here you notice that we have two triangles, one that has been laid over, a smaller one laid over a bigger one. So angle B and angle B prime are both the exact same size. And we know that because they both have two lines that are coming down showing the angle. And angle A is going to be identical on both triangles. So let's take a quick look. So we know that if two angles are the same, because a triangle always has to equal 180 degrees, it only makes sense that our third angle would also be equal. So they have gone ahead and expanded triangle ABC to triangle ABC prime. And we know that with a scale factor of k, we've just enlarged. So here we've separated our two triangles out, and we are still looking, and angle A and B are the same as angle A prime and B prime. Therefore, C and C prime also have to be equal. Question is triangle ABC congruent to triangle DEF? And remember this little sign, little squiggly line, means congruent, which means that the measures of the angles are all going to be the same. Well, so let's take a look at our triangle ABC. We know that triangles ABC always has to add up to be 180 degrees. So I'm going to say x plus 77 plus 58 are all going to equal 180 degrees. So these two together are 135 plus x. And then I'm going to go ahead and subtract out the 135 from both sides, leaving me x equals 45 degrees. So I'm going to replace this with 45. And now I'm going to take a look at my other triangle. Because we can see that 58 is the same as 58, and 45 is the same as 45, without even doing the math for the second one, we can tell that they are going to be congruent, because if two angles are going to be the same, then the third one has to be the same. But let's go ahead and just prove it. So we have 58 plus 45 plus x on this triangle, and all of that has to equal 180. 3 plus x equals 180. We're going to subtract out that 103. And we are going to find that x is going to equal 77 degrees, just like we had said. So yes, these two are congruent, and the math proves it. These two triangles are going to be the same type of thing. We know already that the 33 is equal to the 33. We just want to know, is GHI congruent to JKL? And we're going to justify our reasoning. Go ahead and find the measure of angle H, and then check and see whether or not they're going to be congruent. So I've set up 33 plus 26 plus x is going to equal 180. When I go ahead and solve that through, I'm going to find that this is 121. Now let's take a quick look. 33, 33, 121, 121, which means that this third angle, in order for all of these to add up to be 180, is going to have to be 26 degrees. And that is without math, just with reasoning. So we want to know if triangle ABC and DEC are going to be congruent. And we're going to justify our reasoning. Okay, so we know that we need two angles the same. But right now we only have one angle, so we need one more angle that is going to be the same. Because right now we can just see that A and D are going to be congruent because they have the one little line. Okay, so now we're going to take a quick look over here, and we're going to see if any other angles can be the same. Well, we know that vertical angles are the same, so this one and this one are vertical angles. So C does in fact equal C, and that means that I'll put in two little lines there so that we'll know it's a different angle measure than angle A or D. So that means that angle A and D are the same. They're congruent with each other. And we know that angle C is congruent to itself. And therefore, we know that E must be congruent to angle B. Once again, no math because we don't even have numbers on this one. So now we want to know if triangle FGH is congruent to triangle JIH. So we know right now that G is congruent to I. Those two are congruent because they're both right angles. And I know that H and H are going to be congruent to each other. And if two angles are going to be the same, therefore, which is what this little sign means, angle J is congruent to angle F. Okay, so sometimes they're going to give you overlapping triangles. They share a common side or a common angle, and you can just go ahead and separate them. You can redraw your triangle. So here we're going to take angle ADC. We're going to move it and separate it from angle AEB, and that way we can just tell which two triangles that we're going to be working with. Okay, so the first thing that I did was redraw the two angles, the two triangles. So we want to know whether or not they're going to be similar. We know that angle R is going to be the same as angle R. And therefore, we also just need to check in on the rest. So we know that angle L is going to be 43 degrees. And we know that angle Q is 43 degrees. So we want to know whether or not these statements are going to be true. So LMP is similar to QMN. Well, we know that at this point that M and M are both vertical angles to each other. So we know that they're the same. And we know that because this one is 43, that this one and this one are going to be congruent. Therefore, we can tell that these two, I'll put an extra one on so we can tell they're different than angle M, must be similar because we have at least two angles. So I can stop there. Now we're going to look at LMP. LMP must be similar to RPQ. So we have these two triangles, and we want to know if they're the same. Well, for sure, P is going to be similar to itself. So then our next question is whether or not L and R are going to be the same, or M and Q. But we just simply don't have enough information. We don't have two parallel lines. So we're just going to say false, and really we're saying not enough info is what we're saying. Okay, so our next one is RPQ and RNL. RNL, and that's the one I've redrawn over here. So R is going to be the same, and we know that L and Q are both going to be the same. Therefore, these are going to be congruent because at least two triangles or two angles have them. And then let's look at our last one. QMN must be similar to RLN. Oh, there we go. And we know that N is going to be the same. Then our question is M and L going to be the same and R and Q? But we simply don't have enough information for that either. So these two we're going to be left not knowing, and A and C we know are both true. Okay, so take a look at this one, and then I want you to pause it and try and work through which statements are true and if is there a statement that there's not enough information for. So go ahead and hit pause. Okay, now that you are back, we're going to do AZR and we're going to do AKL. We know that angle A is going to be the same on both of them. And we know, so angle A is congruent with angle A. And we know that angle L is congruent with angle R. And the reason why we know that is because they both say 24. So this one must be true because we've proved it with two angles. So the next one is ZGL and KGR. So now we're going to take a look and we're going to see whether or not we can find two angles that are the same. Well, we already know angle L is congruent to angle R. And then we're going to take a look. Angle G and G are congruent to each other because they are vertical angles. Therefore, this one must be true. Make sure you're writing the two angles so we can see that why it is true. Okay, for the third one, angle AKL, and GKR. We want to know, are these two angles congruent? Well, we know that angle R is congruent to angle L. And then we are questioning, can we find another angle? Well, angle A doesn't have anything that lines up with angle K, so we can't tell that for sure. And G, we're not sure is going to line up here. So with that, and we can't even tell if angle K is split in the middle or if it's not. So there is just not enough information for that one. So we're going to say false, and we're going to say not enough info. Think each one of these through, and logic and reasoning is going to work to help you with each one of these. Okay, I will see you in class. Thank you so much.